Adventures for Military coming at you at 15 Perry Street. I'm Robert, and I'm joined by my sidekick, Paul Martinez.
Hey, everybody.
So we have a guest today, and Spencer, I've been following you, I think, for just probably the last 3 or 4, maybe 5 months or something of that nature. And but I was stalking you for probably longer than that, and it was one of these things where I think somebody turned me on and said, "Hey, listen, you need to go check this guy out." And when I started following you on social media, there was just such a clear message and some things that you were putting out there that at times were deep, but I think also were great coaching and mentoring pieces to it. And it's like, all right, well, at some point, I'm probably just going to ask you, to come on this show, and it was just more of what was the right timing. So I'm glad you're here. Glad everything worked out, and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we're going to get into the very beginning, though, because you mentioned to me off air that you came from Nebraska. And is that where you were born, or just where you were raised? So what was the story there?
So my dad was in the Air Force for 23 years.
Okay.
And I was born in Bellevue, Nebraska. There's a Air Force base called Offutt, right down the street, maybe 5 or 10 minutes down the street. So he actually rejected his, I think, E8 or E9 promotion so that we could stay there. Because I think by the time he was ready to retire, I was like a freshman in high school. My older brother was a senior, and he's like, all right, I could take my promotion and leave. We'd probably have to PCS somewhere, finish my time out there. And he rejected that and said, you know what, I'm going to put my family first, and reject it. Stayed, I think, retired as an E7 or an E8. And, we stayed there my whole entire life.
What was his MOS? What was he doing?
So I don't know his MOS or how it works in the Air Force. But he worked on the same plane called the E-4B. It's like the 3rd or 4th in line for the president as their contingency plan.
Oh.
And so he runs, from what I know, he runs all like electronical stuff through the whole plane. So if anything, I've been on there one time after his retirement ceremony, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I know where every outlet on this plane is," and I was like, that is insane. That is insane. He's like, I wasn't in the military yet. And he's like, when you get into the military, like, you're going to know your job just like this, just in a different world. And I was like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I have a son-in-law whose son-in-law whose grandfather was in the Air Force. And now it's making me wonder what it was that he did. He was a pilot, but I now wonder if he was there and your dad was doing that. Maybe he's never talked much about what he did, a whole lot. So I wonder if it was something like on occasion he did some things like Secret Service, flying the president, doing whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really heard my dad talk about anything at all. Like he's never really shared too many stories. I think in his mind, he's been doing his job for over 20 years that he's like, nobody wants to hear about this. You know what I mean? So we were playing sports so much that he wanted to focus on that when he got away from work, because he was, he'd been doing it for so long that it was like he didn't really care to show us about this plane. He was more excited by watching his kids grow and see the adults that they were coming into.
That's awesome that he was able to even do that. Because I mean, like, even today's situation, it's much harder to do that, as be a father or be a parent.
When I always wondered that. I was like, I don't ever really remember my dad missing too much, especially now that, I had to miss so much. I think this year was the first year that I was home for all 3 of my kids' birthdays. So it was like, damn, Dad, how did you do it 23 years? And I guess, I don't know, he knew how to pull strings or do something. He did something right. He didn't miss very much. So now, it still did his 23 years.
When was it that he retired in relation to, like, you graduating high school?
I believe I was a freshman or sophomore in high school. And I think he had an opportunity to go overseas for like 8 or 9 months. And it was going to be I think he was going to miss my basketball season, my football season. And he was like, no. And put in his retirement packet, and he's like, I want to be here for my kids.
It's an impressionable age, and that's why I asked that, because I was trying to figure out, all right, that's also about 14, 15 years old, and for a young man, that's really when you want your father there too. But did he have any influence maybe on your decisions to go into the military, or?
So I would say, yeah. Okay. and it wasn't really that he said anything or he, like I said, he didn't really talk about much, but the financial freedom that he had from having a solid paycheck to provide for me and my brother, that was a huge thing for me, because I was like, I know I'm going to have kids at some point someday, and the most solid, like most assuring job to me in my eyes was what I was seeing every day, my dad. And he was going to the military, and he seemed, I didn't really pay attention if he liked his job or not, but just watching him lace up his boots when he still had to put on a uniform, that was cool to me, just seeing, because my kids don't get to see me in uniform too much, but then you see that when they do see you in uniform, you look like a Superman to them. And that's how I looked at my dad. And yeah, it was definitely influential when it was that time to decide whether or not I was going to go to college and stay a civilian or join the military. And I would ask him, since he'd been there, done that, I was like, was it worth it? And yeah, 100%. And I think when he told me that was like, all right, I have to do this now.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us, probably even those that are listening, probably came to some crossroads at some point and started to make a decision. For me, it was like I was 17 years old, and it was either I go off to college, which I didn't feel like I was doing that well in high school, because I didn't want to learn. You know what I mean? I didn't really want to participate and put my all into it. And so I thought, well, I can always go to school. So I ended up going to the military. And, it sounds like maybe you kind of came to that same kind of crossroads, or?
Yeah. I was exactly like that. I'm not a sit in a classroom, learn in a school setting type of person. And anybody that knows me from high school, like, I'll be honest with you, I've probably showed up maybe half the time. There were a lot of like Fridays where we'd have football games and I would not even go to school, because I wanted to focus on just the football game. I was like, I don't really care about that. Now, basketball season was a different story, because my basketball coach had been coaching me since I was in second grade, all the way up until I graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
So he wouldn't let me pull that shit. He'd be like, no, dude, you're going to class. If you don't go to class all day today, you're not playing in the game. But exactly, like I knew that when I was going to college, so I got recruited. I walked on to Nebraska for football. And that summer going into it,
Who was coaching then?
it was Bo Pelini.
Okay.
Yeah. So the summer going into it, I kind of got involved in the wrong shit, the wrong people, and I decided not to go play. I started focusing on money more, and it was maybe 3 to 6 months where my head was completely, all right, sports are done. I'm going to focus on money, because I'm starting to meet these people that have a lot of money, and they're very like influential about stuff, about the money side and the business side. And so I kind of dove into that. That's kind of where my head was at. And once I realized like I was making a mistake and I was kind of throwing my life away, I was like, all right, I can't go back on my decision. I can't walk on to Nebraska now. And so I went to a Division II school down the street, University of Nebraska Kearney. And huge level change from Division I to Division II. And I thought I could go there and work my way back up into the Division I level, but I kept running into that same thing where it was like, I'm not a classroom person. So yes, I could go to practice all day and I could go to play football and shit all day, but it was the other half of going to class. And you guys know, like, if you don't go to class at college, you're not fucking playing.
Yeah.
And so that is, I left Kearney, and maybe 24 hours later, I was at the recruiters, and I went to the Navy first, because wanted to be a fucking Navy SEAL. And
No.
yeah.
Was it the Charlie Sheen movie?
Yeah, it was like active, all fucking hundreds of movies now. So I was like, all right, go to the Navy recruiter. And they saw, at that time I had half sleeve tattoos, not even full sleeves. And they were like, yep, you have tattoos below where the t-shirt shows or where you can see in the t-shirt, so we can't take you. All right, next door, went to the Air Force, I think. And so they said the same thing. Went next door to the Marines. They said the same thing. And last stop shop, Army recruiters down at the last door. Yeah. And I walked in there and they're like, what do you want to do, big guy? I want to be a ranger. And yeah, that was really it. Like, I think I was gone maybe a couple months later after that. It was.
Did you do the research before you went in there? So like, you knew SEAL, or was it, go or die, so you said you wanted to go Ranger. So did you even know what that was?
No, I think I walked in there and I said I want to be an airborne ranger or something like that. Whatever you hear, not the proper term at all. But I was like, yeah, I want. They're like, what do you think about doing? And I was like, I want to be an airborne ranger. And they're like, all right, go back and take the ASVAB. And I took the ASVAB and did not get the score that they were wanting to help me out with. So I think I got maybe like a 97 or 98 on my GT score.
Yeah, which is high. 99 is the highest. So.
Yeah, well, no, this was GT. So
GT. Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry.
So you had to have
AFQT.
At the time it was like 110, I think, is what you had to have. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, dude, like, you're not going to be able to go straight in, get infantry or ranger or any type of SOF. They're like, but what we can give you is infantry. And I was like, yeah, I've heard about that. And he told me that it was going to be just like the Airborne Ranger job that you want. And I was like, okay, cool, fuck, sign me up. And a couple weeks later, I was just like gone. But there was no research done whatsoever at all, except movies that I watched.
So you get to OSIT, and while you're there at Benning, did you get a chance to like even go to the video and see the opportunity of maybe getting a Ranger contract? Did you even talk to those guys about a waiver? Or?
Yeah, I did. After about halfway through, my drill sergeant started to realize what kind of kid I was, and he started persuading me into that path. And the problem was that GT score. So he's like, I can't really help you. The best thing I can get for you is an airborne contract.
But it had been 30 days. Okay, this is my old recruiter side coming out of me. So it had been 30 days since you took the initial ASVAB. So if I'm not mistaken, unless things have changed, you had the opportunity, if somebody would have known better, to give you another retest.
Yeah, I have no idea.
They could have sent you over on main post there at Fort Benning and just had you take the test and the education center, and then, come back over or something. So for those that are listening, you might want to check that out. But yeah, seriously, and you never know. I mean, you wouldn't have needed that much, to round out, like, a couple more math or a couple more science right questions, and boom, all of a sudden that GT goes up.
Yep. And that's really what it boiled down to. When I was in the 82nd, I took that FAST class, month-long class, and it was nothing exactly what you just said. And I took the test, got a 113, and then I was. So
that was your first assignment, was the 82nd then?
Yep. I was supposed to go to.
So you got the Airborne still?
In basic training, the drill sergeant was like, does anybody want to go Rangers or 18 X-ray contract, and or get an airborne contract or something, one of those. And I was like, yep, I want like whatever I can get. And they're like, well, looking at your GT score, no SOF, but we can get you an airborne contract. So tomorrow, 06, whoever wants to get the airborne contract that doesn't have it, PT test, pretty much fight to death.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, perfect. Showed up there, crushed the PT test, and he's like, yep, all right, airborne contract. So I switched from Schofield Barracks is where I was supposed to go after OSIT.
Nice. That would have been a good one.
Yeah. So instead, I got the 82nd. They're like, oh, you want to go to Airborne? No more Hawaii for you. Going to the 82nd. And my drill sergeant was a 82nd guy, so he was super fucking pumped about it. He was like, hell yeah, it's where you belong, brother. I was like,
That's awesome.
Paul was supposed to go 173rd.
173rd. I was going to go to Italy.
Yeah. Then he saw the video
I went
and
to the RIP brief, and I saw him.
Yeah.
Night vision, mini bikes, helicopters. I'm like,
that's it.
I've had spaghetti. Fuck it.
Yep. Let's get it.
Yeah. Let's see what we can do.
What was it like arriving at 82nd then, as a newbie?
Yeah, so I flew down to Texas and drove up from Texas with one of the guys I went to basic training with. So we drove from Texas up to Bragg, and when I got there, it was full on hurry up and wait. Like the whole in processing, it took about a month where we were staying in those little transient barracks. And it just seemed like I was never going to actually fucking get there. And but yeah, once I did, obviously, you know, got toyed around with as you should, and then stuck me with a 240, and they're like, all right, you're the machine gunner now. And I was like, cool. That's like, if there's any weapon that I want in here, like I want that one. I want to carry that one. And so yeah, I did that for about 6 to 8 months, and then another opportunity came down the pipe. My platoon sergeant came in, and he was like, you know, everybody's bullshitting, sitting around wrestling with each other, watching porn and stuff. And they're like, hey, who wants to go to Ranger School? And nobody raised their hand. And I was like, this guy, because everybody just seemed scared. Yeah. I was PV2. Yep, PV2 Lewis. And he had already kind of thrown it in my ear a little bit. He was an old time guy too. And he was Ranger all the fucking way. Like every time you passed him, Rangers lead the way. Like everything about this dude was fucking Ranger, which I was fine with that because that's what I wanted to do when I first came in. And he was like, who wants to go to Ranger School? Nobody fucking raised their hand. I raised my hand, and he was like, all right, pre-Ranger is in 2 weeks. Here's your packing list. And I spent the paycheck that I just got and the previous paycheck on all the gear that I needed for pre-Ranger and Ranger School.
Really?
Yep. So they were like, you're only going to have, they showed me the timeline. If you pass pre-Ranger, then you'll have 1 week and then start Ranger School. And they're like, and I promise you that you will not want to be buying shit and putting your packing list together. So get it together now. And I think that was his initial test, because he was like, all right, I was 19. Yep, I was 19 years old at this point, and he was like, all right, if I can trust this 19-year-old to get this 10-page packet of shit together,
and
then
spend hard-earned money.
Yep. 3 layouts, you know, within those 2 weeks of just, you know, you guys know shit after shit after shit, and it was just like, and then I got it correct. I think I fucked up the first one, and then my second and third one, it was a perfect layout, and he was like, all right, you're good to go. So, because he didn't even tell me, like, yeah, you can go, before he handed me all the packet. I think that was his test to see, because, you know, as a platoon sergeant, I'm sure that shit comes back on you when your guys don't make it, you know? Yeah. And it was like, this is the one guy that I cannot let down. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing it for anybody else except really for him, because he gave me that opportunity. You know, I thought I was going to have to wait like 4 or 5 years to even get the chance at going to Ranger School. And he gave it to me, and I saw everybody else kind of just tuck their little tails between their legs. And I was like, dude, fuck it. Like, if the way that everybody acted was really why I wanted to go, a huge reason why I wanted to go, because I was like, this is something that nobody really wants to do, you know? So fuck it. Like, I want to do that, especially 19 years old. Like, let's do it.
I mean, that's like a golden ticket. I mean, this is what you wanted to do in the first place, and here you were told no. And although you're not going to regiment, at least you can go into Ranger School and have that opportunity. And that's all you really wanted, was somebody to give you a chance and put your foot in the door. Yeah. And once you got that chance, you seized the opportunity.
Yeah, because the plan at that point, I was still going back and forth. Do I want to go to 75th? Or do I want to go to group, or not go to group, but go enter that selection? Because I was like, you know, I'm 19 years old. You know, if I would have got a good score on my ASVAB, then I would have went to I would have signed an Obstacle 40 contract right there. No doubt in my mind, like, because that's where I wanted to start off with. I didn't join the Army being like, oh yeah, like Green Berets sign me up. Like, I was 19 years old. Yeah. Like, there's no fucking 19-year-old that deserves to fucking be in group. You know what I mean? In my eyes, the way that I saw it, you needed a lot of fucking experience, because the pictures, the Green Berets that I was hearing about were 35-plus-year-old guys, and I was like, that's not even in my bank right now of a path to go to. And so I was stuck on Knockout Ranger School, and having, from what I heard, Ranger Tab going into RASP is a lot better than no Ranger Tab going into RASP. You know what I mean? They were like, hey, you're going to get treated a little bit better if you have your Ranger Tab prior to going to RASP. And so that was a huge thing for me too. I was like, all right, my platoon sergeant's hooking me up. It goes kind of along with the path that I'm trying to go down. And then once I got my Ranger Tab, I was married for maybe a year, and so I started talking to my wife, like, all right, we started looking at, 3, 5, 10 years down the road and where we want to be at. We want to have kids and stuff like that. And we had already lost one baby, our first miscarriage during Ranger School. Yeah. And so that kind of had our wheels spinning a lot about the whole family piece. And we just kind of talked for maybe 1 or 2 weeks after I got my GT score up and my Ranger tab. All right, what path do we go down? Do I go to 75th or do I go to SFAS? And after a couple weeks of talking, that's when we decided that we wanted to try out the SFAS and then stay at Bragg for the 2 years for the Q course, because her family was in Raleigh, so it was super easy. So that weighed a big thing too. Is like, all right, I could go to RASP, and I think it was 8 weeks of this time. I'd go there, fucking crush the 8 weeks, get to regiment, start deploying, but we'll be in either Savannah, Fort Washington, or Benning.
Yep.
And knowing that my wife had a support system while I was going through the Q course with her family right down the street was a huge thing for me too, because it was like, I know I'm going to be gone a lot, and that's what everybody says. You're going to be gone, even between phases. You're going to be gone, and I was like, as much as I want to go to 75th right now, I need to start thinking long term, not just for me, but for my family too. And group was definitely where my mind was made up at.
So when you came back then from Ranger School, you put path in motion to start looking at dropping the packet?
Yeah, so I graduated Ranger School 10-15. So 2015, I got my Ranger tab, came back, and I took over a team. I was a team leader for my weapon squad, and then became weapon squad leader. And then my platoon sergeant that gave me that opportunity to go to Ranger School, he took over the recce section. So, but this is what I fucking love about the dude. Even though he knew like what I was capable of accomplishing, he still asked, "Hey, do you want to come over to the recce side?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." All right, selections next week. And you know what I mean? It wasn't like, "Oh yeah, you've been to Ranger School, so come on over, buddy. Yeah. We know each other." This dude was
like by the book.
Yep. You are no fucking different. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "All right, we're doing a selection for a recon next week at 7 days," and it was literally 7 days of pre-Ranger all over again. And it was awesome. So I finished my maybe like last 6 to 8 months in the 82nd with him up at the scout platoon, and then I went down after I finished. So got my Ranger tab, came back, did the fast class for a month, got my GT score up, all while doing team leader, squad leader, and then recce section. And then that's when I went down to the recruiters at about maybe a year after Ranger School, because I graduated Ranger School 10-15, and then 10-16 I went to selection. So within a year, I was able to get fast class knocked out, still do advance in the leadership capabilities, and then get to the SFAS portion.
Now, did you have anybody that you knew from like a mentoring standpoint there that that kind of helps you? Or
yeah, so my weapon squad leader was a first group cat that got kicked out for beating a bunch of Thailand police up. Yeah, so this dude, he was like maybe 5'7", 5'8", and probably 240 pounds of just steel. Dude was fucking huge. He would win the Fort Bragg bench press competition, like the strongman competitions. He'd crush them all. Couldn't run for shit, but he could. He was strong. Yeah. He was super strong.
Remember a dude from Guam that was the same way. Dude had huge muscles, man. I mean, his legs and everything. But after he got done doing the sit-ups, he couldn't do the 2-mile run. It'd kill him, because he used all of his thigh muscles to, with that short little statue, But yeah, he was he was my intel guy for what group was actually like and what selection was going to be like. He definitely mentored me throughout. And unfortunately, when I left there, we kind of lost contact with each other. He left the Army, and I think he moved back to Texas, and that's the last time I talked to him. But yeah, he was definitely a big influence. And he always told me, he kept my mind in a realistic state, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of
lot of things right now is all seen, just like I was watching movies of Navy SEALs, like you're seeing Instagram, you're seeing all these social media platforms, and you're able to edit these pictures, edit these videos like we were talking about earlier to make them look so much more badass than it really is. And so he kept me on that realistic path of like, yeah, you may be seeing like this cool shit, but it's business, man. Like, it doesn't fucking matter how high or how long you stay in it. Like, once you leave, you're gone. Once you're, you know what I mean? Like, you're in there to do a fucking job, and it's business. You know, there's going to be people that do way cooler shit than you, and you may never know about it. So don't get a big head. And that's kind of how I kept my mindset the whole time.
So going through SFAS, well, let me go back. Ranger School, recycle any? Yep.
I recycled mountains. So I went in, I think it was April of 2015, started pre-ranger, and that was shitty up at the 82nd because they have their own compound, and so nobody sees what the fuck is going on there, which was good. But we started out with 107, I believe, 100 plus students, and only 4 of us graduated.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Wow. So I think, and there was only 4 left after day 5, I think, after the 12-mile ruck.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a brutal day. It was probably 90% humidity. We still started at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was probably 90 degrees already. And I finished, that was my slowest 12-mile ruck that I've ever done. I think I finished at 2 hours and 58 minutes, and I was the first one done. So those next 3 guys just made it to the cutoff, and then so the 4 of us made it underneath 3 hours, and the next 4 guys, they lied to them and said that, hey, yeah, you didn't pass the ruck, but if you make it through the patrols, then we'll give you a shot at Ranger School. Or actually, get through the patrols, we'll give you another 12-miler at the end, and if you make that one, then we'll
They were just doing that to fill out the squads for patrols, weren't they? Oh, those poor souls.
Yeah, so we finished our patrols out, and the day of pre-ranger graduation, they brought 4 packets out and told those other 4 guys, like, come back next class. Wow. None of them came back the next class.
You don't say.
Yeah.
You don't say.
But all 4 of us got our ranger tab, so they went 4 for 4 that class, and I think that was one of their best classes. So
why'd you get recycled?
It was in mountains, so I didn't know shit about platoon tactics at that point. You know what I mean? I knew
you're a PV2.
Yes, I knew weapons. I knew weapon squad shit, and that was about it. So I honestly didn't even know that there was platoon operations at that point. I thought it was all squad, and then they just combine them together. And but so Darby phase was fine. I think I got a squad leader look, a team leader look, got goes on both of those. And then you get that 8-hour pass in between Darby and Mountains. And that's so my wife told me that she was pregnant right after pre-ranger graduation. So I graduated, she told me that she was pregnant, so we were looking at having our first kid. And then the 8-hour pass between Darby and Mountains is when she told me that she had a miscarriage. So while I was in first phase, she had a miscarriage and had to do the whole surgery and shit all by herself. I mean, that's kind of why North Carolina was a blessing for us, because her family was down the street. So while I was gone, she always had that support system.
It had to be tough on you, though.
Yeah, it was. I felt like I was kind of abandoning my wife, when shit was rough. That was our first, really, like our rough patch. And it was 8 hours of between crying and trying to be intimate with each other. You know what I mean? And then knowing that I got to go back for 30 more days. It was rough. So going in, having that happen, and then go into something brand new at a platoon level tactics, and your head's not clear, it's going to be pretty tough to absorb all that knowledge. And that's what I struggled with. My mind was completely in a different place. I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was making up every little fucking excuse to why I should be home and I shouldn't be there. And so I got recycled, and I called my wife and told her, I was like, hey, I'm fucking done with this. Like, I shouldn't be missing out on being there for you. Like, I'm your fucking husband. That's why we got married. And she told me, like, you're not allowed to come home unless you get your Ranger tab. She's like, I know how bad you want it, and think about all those times that I let you read the fucking Ranger Creed to me, or how much studying that you did. She's like, I will be fine. Like, stay there, get your Ranger tab. And that's what I did. Stayed there. It was like I think 7 or 8 day recycle period. So that was really the worst part, dude. That was the worst but best part.
What was the worst?
You were eating.
I was eating, but it was just waiting, because once my wife talked to me about that, it was like fire was lit again, and I was ready to fucking get after it. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So just waiting, and I was like,
plus those blueberry pancakes suck when you're not hungry. They're awful.
So we had access to the not the Gator Lounge, the overhang. Yeah. So we had access to that all 7 days, and it was I can't remember what it was, but I think they all went on block leave, and so it was just like a couple cadres' wives that stayed back, and they were just handing us Snickers and shit. It was awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it was good. I probably gained like 15 or 20 more pounds just in that 7 days.
Yeah, I believe it. I did the same thing. I recycled in mountain phase.
Yeah.
Day one of patrols, and then I had 10 days just eating blueberry pancakes and doing PT and putting snacks in the ceiling tiles.
Yeah.
Later.
I had, and honestly, the real reason why I was able to do so well after that happened was because of the holdover cadre that was there. There was one guy, I can't remember his name, but he dedicated that 7 days of recycle period to us. He was like, I don't care about going home. You guys seem like a pretty good group of dudes here. There was only like 9 or 10 of us. It was pretty small. So let's get this shit figured out. What are your questions? And we just hammered him with questions, and he stayed there whiteboarding shit, bringing us out doing PEs, practical exercises, just doing all this stuff. And that to me was a leader. You know what I mean? He, like I said, I don't fucking know who that dude is. He didn't know us whatsoever at all, but he took that extra step, for us, and all 10 of us that got recycled, we all ended up graduating.
Wow.
So, yeah.
No more recycles after that from by any of them then?
Nope.
Okay.
No. I think there was 1 or 2 guys that got caught fucking grazing or something in Florida phase or some dumb shit. But that guy, every single second that he took with us was worth it, because
don't know his name though.
No, I can't remember his name.
But that's the impact sometimes that as NCOs or as leaders and stuff we end up putting on people that we didn't realize the impact we made. And maybe or maybe not, he'll listen to this podcast and hear that, and think back of, maybe he won't remember you specifically, but he might remember a time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so important as leaders, is that we recognize that you might be given a moment. What are you going to do with it when that time comes where you can pass on and maybe motivate some young soldier to do something? So fast forward, we get to your SFAS. Same thing. Were you able to go all the way through this time with the SFAS, or?
With the Q course, I went straight through.
Yeah.
So we. It happened. We lost another baby. So she told me that she was pregnant before going to SFAS, and went through SFAS thinking like, all right, fuck, this time it's gonna work out. And got home after selection, and she's like, we lost another one. And so luckily though, we had block leave like right after I got back from selection, so we were able to take the time to I guess get closure on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. We had time to go figure out what the fuck was going on. Like, we were like, why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just doesn't make sense on why we get, it was, I think both babies were like, I don't know, 12, 13 weeks, same exact time. And, but we had that time to get things figured out, and, we've got 2 kids together now. So both of them were fairly easy births. So we just needed some time to get it figured out. But so I went through selection maybe a year after Ranger School, and then I started the Q course 3 months after selection.
Okay.
Right after holiday block leave, started in January, and I had to do the SOF basic leaders course first, because I hadn't even gone to BLC yet.
Oh,
I was a weapons squad leader, hadn't even been through basic leader course yet. Had a Ranger tab, but I didn't go through the big Army school, so I had to hit BLC first. Yeah, you had to. So you had to go through that, which I lucked out again. That is the best BLC course, because they're like, all right, all this shit that doesn't really matter, we're not going to do it. You know, I'm not going to sit here and make you guys watch, you know, videos on videos on videos. And that was really good, because if it wasn't soft, if it wasn't that, then you would have had to sit through all that. And that was a big reason why all I was hearing, big reason why I went to selection in the first place, is because they were saying it's big boy rules now. And that's what I was chasing. I was chasing big boy rules. I didn't want to do the dumb shit anymore. And that was a good confirmation that I was in a big boy rules type of setting, when the instructors were carrying themselves the way that they were carrying themselves, and we were still at the lowest level, you know, getting our foot into the door in this community. And they were super professional. And it was definitely big boy rules at that point, which got me super excited for the rest. And I was like, I'm not trying to stay in the Q course for any longer than I fucking need to. So I dedicated all my time to that. Whenever we had breaks in between phases, like, I would try to get as much intel as I could and get the guys together. And there was a lot of other good dudes I went through the Q course with that were on the same page. Like, hey, we know that, Afghanistan's coming to an end, or we're kind of on the end tail of it. We need to get this shit done, like, now. We don't have time to recycle. And that was kind of our mindset as a class, that, like, if we wanted to get our piece of the pie, that we couldn't bullshit.
This is like, what, 2017?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, January 2017 is when I started BLC, the Q course.
Okay.
Yeah.
7th. Why 7th?
I think my choices were.
Did you pick a particular language, or how did you do on was it the DLAT or anything? Or?
Oh, I hit C for every question. Like, I wanted to get Spanish, because I had taken Spanish in high school before, so I kind of felt a little bit comfortable with it, and I knew that I could knock out 6 months of it and pass the score. So I just C, and they're like, yeah, you're dumb. We'll give you Portuguese. I was like, damn it, I didn't even get what I wanted. So they gave me the Portuguese, and I think my first one was 7th group. I don't know why. I think the reason why I chose 7th group was because I had heard that it was just a remote location, or they were off on their own, doing their own thing. And I was like, what about the other groups? And we looked at 3rd group. It was at Bragg. It was a huge, Army installation there. And it's like, all right, let's go 7th group, since we'll kind of have our own thing. And that definitely has its pros and cons for sure. And then 5th group, because I was like, all right, if I'm not going to go down to Florida and be there, then 5th group is going to Middle East all the time. Like, that's their AOR. Let's go there. And they gave me Portuguese and sent me down to Destin.
Well, there are worse places to be. I mean, I actually grew up around in that area and talk about it. But when you got down there, what was it like for you in getting into? I mean, now it's culminated. Now you have your Ranger tab that you want. You've gone through Q. You got the Green Beret. Mm-hmm. You got the tab. Going down there, what was it like walking in?
I mean, obviously I was scared. I was nervous. Like, you hear so many fucking stories on, like, everybody's experiences walking into the team room the first time. Like, you're like, am I going to have that story where it's like, we're all going to be fucking boys? Or is it going to be like, hey, you only brought 2 cases of beer, like, crawl to the PX and get through 2 more cases? Am I going to have a team sergeant that's like, hey, fight this dude so we can see how real you are. Like, what is it going to be? And that was really the only thing I was nervous about, is like, all right, what fucking lane am I going to get on this one? And luckily it was nice. I was in the B team doing some in processing, and my team sergeant walked in, and he called me by my first name, and he asked if I had a Ranger tab. Said yeah, and after that, he was kind of laid off my ass a little bit because he didn't even have a Ranger tab. So he was kind of like, all right. But he introduced me to the team, and once I got there, I just jumped back into that mode. It was like, shut the fuck up and just watch, just listen.
Be a sponge.
Yep. And that was my mindset, because I wasn't nervous. Like, I felt like I had to perform a certain way, or I had to look a certain way, or whatever. I mean, I knew that I had to perform at PT, obviously. So that wasn't what made me nervous. It was just, what kind of environment am I about to walk into? Am I going to hear or am I going to experience the same things that everybody else talks about, or what is going to happen? And I think I landed the perfect situation where my senior Bravo, he was just like, hey, what's up, dude? First name basis. And he's like, all right, I'm going to start showing you shit. And that was it. I left like 4 days later and started training exercises right off the bat. And I mean, I didn't get to, deploy right away and go to Afghanistan right away. Like some stories that you hear, it's like dudes show up, hey, funny, you're leaving. Yeah. I didn't get that, which is fine. I just went training exercise after exercise after exercise until it was my time to go to Afghanistan. So
why do you think he took you under his wing, the way he did?
I don't know. I mean, I have an idea. There was another team sergeant a couple rooms down that was from the same unit that I was in the 82nd. And my platoon sergeant, the Super Ranger guy, him and that team sergeant were friends.
Okay.
And so I believe that team sergeant wanted me to come to his team, but he already had 2 Bravos on his team. So the next team that he thought that I would fit in with was 2-6, which is an advanced special operations team. And so that kind of made me nervous a little bit too, not gonna lie, because you hear about dive teams, you hear about Halo teams. I've never heard that there was an advanced special operations team. And as a new dude showing up, and that's the team that you're going to, that is kind of like, all right, what the fuck do I expect? You know what I mean? Because all these guys are in here with, 5-6 combat deployments at minimum. There was my chief, he was running on like 13th or 14th combat deployment. And that's just a combat. This dude's been to South America like 6 or 7 times too. So I was like, I tried to tell myself as much as I could that like that shit is out of my control, but it always dawned on me, you know what I mean? But it really is like out of your control. I can only volunteer to do the shit that I can volunteer to do. And going to Afghanistan while I was in was not a voluntary thing. You know what I mean? The only time that you were going to get to do that is if you got the order to go do it. And I think that's a lot of people are struggling with that and have been struggling with that for a while. Because even when I was in the 82nd, like, people, that's all they talked about was just getting to Afghanistan, getting on deployment, stuff like that. And if you didn't have your deployment patch, then you were a turd nugget, which was another reason why I was like, sign me up for Ranger School. Like, I just want to go because there's nowhere to volunteer to deploy. You know what I mean? So I'm going to volunteer to do this other shit that nobody else wants to do. So that was a big thing for me, is just like having that in the back of my mind that I haven't been to combat like all these other guys have. But they were professional, just like those cadre and BLC were, and they took me under their wing and they pretty much said, shut the fuck up and let's work. Just watch, follow along. If you have questions, ask. Bring beer in every day. Make coffee every morning. Take the trash out. Clean the fucking place on Fridays. And yeah, I mean, when we weren't at work, we weren't at work. It's not like we were getting hit up with a bunch of dumb shit or anything like that. 2019 was my first full year on a team, and we were probably gone maybe 9 or 10 months out of the year just training all over the place. It was super fun. I got to do some civilian schools, got to do some big Army schools, some big Army rotations, then some civilian ran rotations, and it was nice, man. I got to meet a lot of fucking people, and that was 2019 was my first year on the teams, and then we went to Afghanistan in January, and that was my first combat deployment. You know, I've been in the Army for 6 years or 5 or 6 years at this point, and it was like, finally, I'm getting to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was very easy to relate with a lot of the guys in the 82nd because they were, you know, my age, and none of us had really been there, you know, done combat anything. And so getting to, you know, a place where everybody has been to combat, yeah, it can mind fuck you a lot. But all the guys that I deployed with and were on the team with understood, and they accepted the fact, like, just because you come out of your mom like later than I did doesn't mean that you're any less than a person. You know what I mean? So yeah.
What was the big Army schools that you ended up going to?
So Ranger School and Rappel Master, I knocked that out before I left, and then did NTC JRTC with the 82nd.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted
to get to go scuba, Halo, anything like that then?
No. So I did Halo after the Q course. Yeah. So they were still doing that. So I graduated the Q course in November of 2018, and then, or actually I did free fall November 2018. So I'd finished language up in October, and then November did that, and then went on block leave, moved my family down to Florida, and then started teams January of 2019. Yeah.
On the advanced team of it and everything, you're talking about how they kind of took you underneath their wing and everything, but when you think of the advanced team, was it also supposed to be typically earned and you just got like slid in? Or because I was listening to you and it sounded like you were like one of the first to ever go that route.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm the first, but I definitely, it kind of was in the back of my mind the whole time that I was there. Is like, why did I get chosen to be there? I was 24 at the time when I first showed up, and it was like all these dudes were 30, 35 minimum, and I was like, I have no idea why the fuck I'm here, and I still don't know why they chose to put me on that team. But what I have seen now that I've been able to take a step back and kind of see how all the operations work, I didn't go through like an interview process where I see a lot of guys get interviewed right now. You know what I mean? If they want to, they'll get asked, you know, what team do you want to go to? And they'll say, I want to go to a dive team, and they'll get an interview set up with the dive top 3, top 4, and they'll do that. I did not have an interview. So I truly believe that it was that team sergeant kind of taking me under his wing and kind of pushing me towards the right direction. So
2020, how'd it go down?
In Afghanistan?
Yeah.
It was so frustrating. So fucking frustrating, because it was like,
it's a different time frame.
Yeah, so we were doing missions. We're doing missions every 3 days until I think mid-March is when everything cut off. Yeah, it was very, very frustrating, because seeing how much work that still needed to be done, seeing all the work that was done just diminish right in front of our eyes, and then to pretty much be told to sit on your fucking hands. Can't go home, but you can't do your job either. And then it was very frustrating, and I think the guys that had been there 10, 12 times, it wasn't frustrating, but I just destroyed my body for 5, 6 years to get to this point, and then now you're going to tell me to sit on my hands when there's work right outside the gate to be done, you know, and we have already been out multiple times. Like, we know that there's work to be done. But yeah, I don't know.
This stand down was mostly for coronavirus?
Yeah. So once
you get blown up, man.
Right. Yeah.
Don't catch that coronavirus.
I guess I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. That was
March 2020.
Yep. That was when.
So you're quarantined
Yeah. So
in Afghanistan.
luckily, I didn't have to go that far. I was in an outstation, and so there was maybe like, I don't know, 80 to 100 of us out there. It was just us, our SF team, and then the 82nd was there with a platoon or platoon and a half maybe. But yeah, we were taking rockets, the whole shebang, and then it was just like a light switch went off. No more work, but you can't go home. This is what you're seeing right now and what's going on right now. My whole team saw this happening last year. We talked about it the last 3 months that we were there with our sitting on our hands. When we leave, like, this place is going down way faster than what anybody thinks. And it wasn't just us saying that. It was all of our partner force that we were training and fighting with. It was all of our interpreters that we were training and fighting with. I can't tell you how many times the interpreters came up to me, or my partner force guys came up to me telling me that they're going to get their heads cut off. Please help me, like, get me out of this country. Like, I have kids, I have a wife, all this shit. And I would do it. Like, I would push the paperwork up, anything that I could try to do to help. And my team was really, really good on that, because we knew what was coming. We were watching it. You know what I mean? We were watching our partner force get killed night after night after night, right outside the gate. And it was frustrating. And that is honestly like a big reason why I decided to take the med board, was because I just crushed my body for 5.5, 6 years, and then to be there and just not be able to do what the fuck I like, all this knowledge that I gained and everything. Yeah, it was really frustrating. Not only just for me too, like, my, captains only have 2 years on a team. My captain was just losing his mind, because he was getting hit up every single night, like, help me, all these Afghans are getting killed, like, help me. And it was just like, we couldn't do anything. It's frustrating, super frustrating.
Were you able to get any of your interpreters out?
No. So,
do you guys have any essay on them now, or you guys try? I
have a couple buddies that are there right now trying to
sort it out.
Yeah. But dude, it was like one of my National Mine Resistance Group commanders, Afghan. We were his 23rd Special Forces team that he worked with. Wow. And he had worked with 5 SEAL teams. So I was doing all his paperwork to try to... He has an SIV now, but he's still stuck in Afghanistan. They killed his 5-month-old baby while we were there in April. Yep. And like, that's another thing too, is like, all right, he is an American in my eyes. Yep. Way more fucking American than I am, or any American is here. This dude has saved more American lives than I can ever fucking imagine. And we're not going to do anything about the Taliban killing his 5-month-old. And like, you got, like, morally, I cannot fucking live with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if these are the types of situations that I'm going to be put in, to where, like, I have to live with this, and it's something that I can't even control, like, it's going to be hard to want to stay around when I'm watching. Like, what everybody's seeing right now is what we were watching over there, and just the white space just crumble. All this work of 20 years just crumble. And yeah, like, that NMRG commander, he's probably detonated over 10,000 IEDs just for Americans, because those NMRG guys, they don't clear IEDs for Afghans. Like, they lived right next to us on our FOB, and they took commands from us, and that's all they cared about. And so, seeing them, stuck over there, and knowing, like, a type of guy, and there's hundreds of them, I'm sure you guys all know, it's like, those dudes are more American than 90% of people here. You know what I mean? And the shit that they've done for this country without even ever stepping foot on it, it's heartbreaking, because it's like, I told those guys that I would help them. I made a promise to them that, hey, we're starting this early because I know what the fuck is going to go on. And even with starting it a year out, I don't know how some of these people are getting their interpreters route. You know what I mean? I don't know how. I do know one thing is that donating money to somewhere where you don't know where it's going, like that's not going to be a for sure thing. Yeah. And so like right now, being in this med board status at the very, very end of it, it's extremely frustrating because I have friends that are out that are going over there to do work and extract their personnel, and it's like I can't, and that is like, but I can't.
You're in that limbo phase.
Yeah. I'm at that point where it's like I can't not because I need to do Army things, but it's because the healthcare system has taken so long to get me out that I'm not only missing on an opportunity to get my Afghans out, but I'm also missing, my 6-year-old, 7-year-old's life. For the past year, I haven't been there for what? Like I haven't been doing, but yeah, it's the whole Afghanistan thing is frustrating. I've got three guys that I'm trying to get out that I can't, and they're just sending me videos of right outside their door, just Taliban checking every single person, looking for any type of government, anything, any English on their phone, they're taking them and just getting rid of them. So it's super frustrating.
And it was avoidable.
Yeah.
Completely 100% avoidable.
Yes.
The fact that you started seeing this a year ago. Yeah. Over a year ago.
Oh shit, man, 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In 2009, there was some intel, some stuff they'd worked up that was kind of floating around, and I got my hands on some of it, and there's a report in there, and the angle was that the Taliban, most of the old guard had been killed or died of natural causes because they're old, and the new guys coming up were becoming more temperate and moderate because they were being housed by host nations and they couldn't operate freely in Afghanistan. And, I saw that, and I saw a few other things, come down the pipe, and I'm like, we're going to give this back. Mm-hmm. We're going to paint the picture that the Taliban is moderate, which is fucking not accurate at all. And they're going to get this country back. And everybody that helped us in the meantime, they're fucked. Mm-hmm. Like, not a little bit, not like your life's going to be hard, not like North Korea political adversary fucked, like, biblically, you're done. Your family, the next generation, and in a bad way. I mean, 10 years ago, man. Yeah. We kept just giving back the same ground. Mm-hmm. Like, how many times are we going to take Marja? How many times are we going to take Musa Calais? How many times? So why are we giving it back? Yeah. Political. It's just some guys with some AK-47s, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they're dedicated and determined.
Yes. And the biggest thing, which was also frustrating, and I'm seeing it a lot, how, they're saying that Afghans didn't want to fight and stuff like that. They don't want to do that. It's like, dude, I'll tell you what. All my partner force Afghans wanted to fight. You know who didn't? The Afghan commander. You know what I mean? Because
who told them to lay their weapons down.
Yep. So all those, that leadership is what, and I think it's across the board. It's like the leadership, especially in that country, was they were quitting before all this was going down. They had a plan. They've been having this plan because we would literally I would hand them routes, target packages when we weren't allowed to go out, and I was like, hey, you hit this, like, you guys won't get fucked with tonight. Wouldn't do it. And it was just like, man, we can only help you guys out so much, you know what I mean? But it was crazy because we'd be going over every now and then. We'd sneak over to me and my captain. We'd sneak over to the partner forces place. It was right across the street. And every time we went in there to talk to their commander, he had like a new couch or a new TV or new shit. And my captain and I were saying, like, dude, this motherfucker is smuggling, like, he's taking their money. We were getting reports of, like, his soldiers were getting paid and stuff like that. And I was like, these dudes are just begging for stuff. And it was like, every time we went in there, new things, new stuff. And it's like,
well, and that's hit the mainstream media at this point. Mm-hmm. You know, the senior military leadership was just lining their pockets. They're taking pay. They're taking bribes. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah, I think the biggest thing though for you, I can definitely hear it within your voice, is that you spent all this time wanting to do the very thing, you know, and working. It's not just door kicking and stuff like that, because as a special forces soldier, you're getting the opportunity to train, to mentor and coach, you know, these individuals to be able to help defend against some enemy forces out there. That's the whole, you know, charter, the whole mission. And yet you don't ever get that opportunity to do it, and you see the opportunity or the failure in front of you, because it's still an opportunity, like you said, and yet you're being held back. Just like we're watching on the videos, you mentioned the videos of American forces being directed not to do anything, while our, you know, foreign friends, you know, whether they're French or British, are going in.
Yeah.
And getting their people and bringing them to the airport rather than waiting for Americans to get to the airport.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand is, like, I have hard locations on where the 3 guys that I need to get out, but there's no Americans that are gonna go get them. But you can't fucking leave. Like, these guys cannot leave. They know where they know who they are. They have pictures of them. They have all this shit, and they know. So if they leave, like, whatsoever at all, they're done. And so it's like super frustrating. But yeah, I noticed big time on that deployment. We caught one of the bigger commanders, Taliban commanders there in our region. Less than 24 hours, he was released, and I was like, we did all this fucking work to get this asshole, and now we're just gonna let him go. What are we doing? You know what I mean? It started to become, like, very apparent, like, all right, we are not gonna be able to make any fucking difference here if this is what's gonna keep happening, you know?
Dude, that had to be just like so.
Oh, it was terrible, because the shit that we found on this guy's phone was just insane, you know, and it was like
justifiably,
yes,
he should have been
them
put somewhere.
Shooting at our fob, you know what I mean? Yeah. Him recording people shooting at our fucking towers and shit, and let him go right back. And it blew my fucking mind, you know, to get there and then to see this is reality. This is what the fuck is going on.
Did any of your teammates, the guys that have been there before, did they give you any kind of essay on that? Like, hey, shit's not exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of had.
Yeah. So
they were not.
Yeah. My Fox, this was his first Afghanistan trip. And so even in his mind, he was like, we're going to let this motherfucker go. Like, we're just in. What happened the next fucking night? 2 A&A checkpoints got blown up from underneath the ground, and then we took 8 rockets on our fob. The message
was just a coincidence.
Yeah. The message was that we had, I guess, his brother was an even higher Taliban commander than him, and they were like, "This is payback for you guys taking my brother." And I was like, and we fucking let him go, you know, and this is now that asshole's back, and we took rockets, you know, our partner force died. Like, how are we making it? How are we going to make a difference if we're going to continue to do this, you know?
That's tough on your psyche.
Yeah.
You know, that's like big time, because I mean, you swear an oath, you sign a contract, and you're doing it a lot for your brothers on your left and right, but there's also this thing of you're doing it for service to your country. And then yet, you know, you discovered that hard truth.
I mean, what we're talking about, like, it's not just for our country.
No, I get it.
I mean, for the Afghan people too. Like, I don't know a whole lot of people I've served with, or they've served over there in combat roles, that don't have a really soft spot in their heart for the Afghan people. Like, they're getting fucked over right now, and it's not.
But what my point is that not everybody maybe saw that coming or understood that piece of it. The cruel reality is that we tend to be puppets at some point, and then you end up realizing that. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And when that hits you, it hits you hard. You know.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, when you realize you're not pulling the strings.
Right. Yeah. You're not calling the shots.
You're on the chessboard, but you're.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like 82nd, when they were there with us, they had no idea what was going on. You know what I mean? They had no clue. So, which, you know, I feel for those dudes spending 12 months there and getting to do nothing but sit in a tower, and then, you know, they make close relationships with the Afghans too, and thank God that those dudes don't really know what the hell was actually going on while they were pulling tower guard. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you wanted to keep them just, as informed as possible, because you don't want to let complacency get in the thing. But it was like, dude, I know that these guys would lose their shit if they really knew what was going on right outside that gate. So
yeah, it's one of those things where, as a soldier or as a military person, you're looking at this whole situation and you feel helpless and you feel like, you want to do something about it. Because that's what we train, or part of what we want to do and stuff is help partnering nations, and yeah, it's a tough situation.
Yeah, I can't tell you like the one thing that would really, really change my life is seeing at least one out of the 3 of those Afghans get here. You know what I mean? If a 3 out of 3 work, that'd be awesome. But yeah, if even just to see their face walk off of a plane, onto America
soil
would be fucking insane.
I mean, even but at this point, whatever soil. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then we'll work out the rest of it later. Because I think that's what the British government has come forward to say is that, listen, we'll work it out later. Let's just, do what we need to do here. And, wow. Yeah. There's going to be more on this topic for certain, because as things begin to play out, there's going to be more that we can talk about, and because things are unfolding quickly right now.
Yeah.
And or slowly, depending upon how it tends to play out in your mind.
Yeah.
What's going on now? Once you started with the medical process, though, that's when you decided to go more the entrepreneurial route, and you started looking at what is it that you wanted to do. So I know you were already big into fitness and everything else, but what made you decide, all right, this is the direction that I want to go?
Yeah, so I started the social media stuff in September last year. So my wife and I were talking, and we wanted to start a business together. When we moved back to Nebraska, we want to open up a wedding venue, and so our wheels were starting to turn already. Like, we knew that this life, was going to be behind us real soon, or not real soon, however you want to look at it.
Yeah. You were hoping it was going to be real soon.
Yeah, and so we have no idea about business whatsoever at all. Like, I'd never been to college for marketing. My wife's never been to college for marketing. Like, we didn't know shit. And so we started the Alpha Country business. And when we first...
Why Alpha Country?
The name of it, I think while I was over there, seeing all the Afghans talk about America and really like what America meant to them, made me realize how much of a... I guess Alpha Country, this is, everybody looks at us as like, hey, they're fucking number one, whether it be in war, the best place to live, like whatever. America is number one. And I don't think that's going to fucking change, no matter with whatever's going on. I think we have way too many good people in America to ever allow that shit to actually happen. So we, found a catchy name, you know what I mean? Like I said, we had no idea really what the fuck we were doing. And we wanted to start with just some shirts or whatever. And so we found another 7th group veteran and was like, hey, can you make shirts for us? And then we realized that, all right, the clothing thing is not really what our focus is on. You know what I mean? How can we actually make an impact? And I started, really paying attention to the messages that I was getting on Instagram and finally realized what people wanted, and really they just want knowledge. You know what I mean? Knowledge and experiences is what can help a lot of people not fucking make the same mistakes as you did. And so that's why I started to brainstorm what I could give back, and what would not just give back for the time that I'm saying it, but resonate for a long time. And that's why I made those Operation Alpha programs. So, phase 1 was Special Forces Assessment Selection Train Up. So 6 weeks of nothing but grueling workouts that you're going to do in selection. And myself and another Green Beret from 7th Group ran this program while we were training up. So we just didn't have it pieced together. And then I made a second phase for the typical workouts that we'd be doing on a team. And so that's my, like, that'll never have to go away. You know what I mean? As long as I want it to be up there, I don't have to continue to talk about it, but it can always help out some future Ranger kid or future Green Beret that wants to go down this path. Hey, if you want to know what, like, how hard it's going to be and taxing on your body it's going to be, like, run this program, dude, and you'll see. And so yeah, I started out with that, and then doors just started opening up, man. Like, I got involved with We Go Home, ran by Trung. He messaged me, and he kind of just spilled his vision on where he saw the company going, and he was still kind of tied in with another group, so he went solo, and that's when he hit me up. Hey, I'm just branching off on my own. We're still in the first year, but I know that you and I have the same. We're very like-minded, and so when I realized that, I was like, all right, yeah, dude, I'll take my role on this. So now, fast forwarding 8 months that I've been doing that, I'm probably gonna go all in with that. Honestly, once I get out, the Alpha Country will still have, you know, the programs and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna be making shirts and hats and stuff that we were doing, because the reason why we started making the hats was after surgery. Like, what do you have to do?
Yeah,
I can't walk for 7 weeks, so it's like, give me a hat. My Air Force buddy, he had a little laser machine, and I was like, I'll buy some leather off Amazon. Can you engrave this logo into this patch? And I was cutting these patches out and sewing them up to make the time. To make the time go by. Yeah. So we started doing that, and people really started liking the hats. And, you know, at the beginning, we'd order 20 hats of just one kind and do those, knock those out. Now I'm having to order like hundreds of hats, and had to teach my wife how to sew. So I'm like, hey, sew these hats. So now we have a whole system. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to. We're only continuing to do that right now because I'm still in that limbo. You know, I'm not out quite yet. So
right. Well, so you're going to put it in mothball, or you're going to kill it? Because I mean, you've got kind of a good thing going there that you could keep on the side.
Yeah. So that the problem that I'm running into is that my vision of the Alpha Country and my vision, along with Trung's vision of We Go Home, is damn near the same.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then you'd be.
So it's like. I'm just not that. I'm not the type of person to manage going half on one thing and half on the other.
Yeah, you can only serve one master.
I have to go 100% on one thing. So I'm gonna keep the Alpha Country company up and going so that people can have access to that. I just won't really be involved with it.
Yeah.
Or I'll take those programs and incorporate them into the We Go Home, because with We Go Home, we're next year is going to be a big year. We're going to open up a 6,000 or 7,000 square foot warehouse. We're going to start developing our gyms. We're going to start getting equipment like this to bring veterans in, but
do podcasts.
Yeah, but with We Go Home, the big reason why I like it is Trung is a SWAT guy, former Ranger, and then you got a firefighter, and then another police officer. So for me, I'm gaining a lot of knowledge on what these guys' fucking lives are every single day, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And
so to me, the Alpha Country business is just myself and my wife running it. It's a group, it's a team forming, and so that is where I can gravitate to more than anything. You know,
it's great that you've been able to find that, because I mean, so many guys struggle in the outside, and especially trying to make that transition and find that thing. Yeah, and you found it so quickly, and you found a tribe quickly.
Yeah, and that's when I started to realize that is what is happening. That was a big kind of thing that I wrote down, is like, hey, this is kind of like the why. I want to give this same opportunity that I'm getting right now to other people that are going to be getting out in the future, because I remember being after surgery, like sitting there like, what the fuck am I going to do? You know what I mean? I know that I'm going to get out, but I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do. And I hadn't even met with Trung or anything yet. It was still like, how can I turn this Alpha Country business? And I was stressing myself out big time. Like, I was just sitting there I was frustrated because I couldn't walk, I couldn't work out or do anything. I had to watch the kids play outside, but then knowing that I need to figure out a way to make money for my family, like the VA disability shit, like I could honestly care less about that. I really don't care. I don't want the military's money or the government's money at all. So I put the stress on myself, like I'm going to walk out of the Army with $0. So
means you better
need
have
to
a plan.
you better get your head out of your ass right now and stop
Yeah.
feeling sorry for yourself. Yeah.
Well, and I guess the good or bad thing is that you don't know when that timeline's going to be. So the bad part is you don't know what that timeline's going to be, but at least you might have enough time to build a plan, build a strategy. You've got part of it already laid out for you by knowing where to go.
Yeah. And still being involved in the team life. A lot of my teammates are retiring within the next 1 or 2 years.
So how did they take that deployment, coming back? I mean, did it define them or just help define their decision that much quicker? I meant to ask you now that we're on this topic.
There were some, I think, doesn't matter what team you're on, there are some guys that prefer to kind of just be in their room and do their own thing, and then there's some dudes that want to be out, doing shit all the time. There was definitely, I saw that there was some guys like were okay with not going out anymore, which makes perfect sense to me, bro, because you've done it thousands of times. You know what I mean? I haven't done it thousands of times yet. So you could definitely see the more experienced veteran Green Beret, me, hungry as fuck, ready to get after it because I just spent 6 years training for this opportunity. You could definitely see that we butt heads a lot because I'm throwing shit in the captain's face like, hey, they're over there. And they're like, hey, chill out, dude. And like, so it definitely needed those type of guys to be around. And coming back here, those are the guys that are taking charge when it comes to like, the depression shit that's going on right now. Those are the ones that are taking lead on it and talking to and investing a lot of time, staying after work to talk to people to kind of make sure that their head's right by the time they go home. So
yeah, you're right, especially with everything that's going on. I mean, it was one thing when we had the virus and pandemic issues that caused a lot of strain in so many different areas, and then now you have the drawdown and the things that are going on in Afghanistan at this moment, compounded with already TBIs, post-traumatic stress from potentially, combat situations or maybe even before military. And it's just a lot at this moment. I mean, we're hitting like a crescendo. I feel.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
I didn't know if I was alone on that because I kind of just 100%. Feel like,
well, because nothing's so certain, right? Like the economy's a little weird, politics are weird, foreign policy's weird.
Yeah.
Healthcare's weird. Everything's a little fucking weird right now, man.
It's going to take strong leaders, right?
Well, it's really weird because I don't know if it was a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, but I felt like shit was kind of starting to go back to normal. And then it was like, boom, you wake up the next day and it's back to being weird again. You know what I mean? It's a huge roller coaster of like, what are you going to wake up to and see today, or what's going to be the new topic today?
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Social media, I think, you seem to have mastered that pretty well, but that's one of those things too that can really drag you down.
Yeah. I think I honestly have no fucking idea how I was able to, in less than a year, grow that page into 50-something thousand followers. You
have almost like this SEAL following kind of thing,
right?
But yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like I tried to go be a SEAL before I went into the Army or something. But it's weird. It's weird as fuck to have an Instagram and have like my face out there. I don't have my name out there yet, but it's just like, it's still weird. I would be lying if I didn't say it felt weird every time I posted a picture of, even whether it was on that deployment or in training. It just feels weird. But at the same time, my face was getting blasted out like before I even had an Instagram. You know what I mean? I was getting screenshots from my buddies like sending me pictures that, the Army was putting up, not respecting my face, not respecting my name. You know what I mean? So Yeah, I can go back and forth on when a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't be posting that. Like, it's like, first of all, I'm not saying anything about a mission. You know, that'd be way different. You see a picture, but what you read in that caption has nothing to do with that picture for the most part. And I think that is what a lot of people have trouble with, is they don't understand that what I'm doing is, it's marketing. You know what I mean? I don't have to go to college for this. What do people want to see? They want to see a cool guy picture, right?
Yep.
But, and how
Hopefully
am I?
they'll read.
Yeah,
then what's below
exactly.
it.
How am I going to be able to get into that community and get the message that I want to push across? I have to put a fucking cool guy picture up. I'm sorry, but you see, if I don't put a picture of my time in the Army versus, you know, a picture of me sitting at the table that my wife took or something like that, 10,000, 1,000, both have the same message underneath them, talking about real life shit. You know what I mean? But only 1,000 people saw this. You got 10,000 people seeing this. If I know that I can reach more people with just a simple cool picture, then that's fine. You're not going to be able to pick anything off of that unless you've been there in that location. Then you can't pinpoint where I was at, when I was there, what I was doing, anything like that. So, but yeah, the whole social media thing is definitely weird, because when I got in the Army, I cut it all off because I can't do things 50-50. And I didn't want to have to worry about trying to build because if I'm going to have a social media, I'm going to do it to build a business, you know? And so I was like, all right, I'm going in all in 100% on this Army shit. So delete everything. And I kept it like that. And I'm not saying that you can't have social media throughout your Army career, but if you're trying to get shit done fast, you don't have time for distractions. And I don't care who you are, like, Instagram and social media is a distraction. You will always find something that will distract you.
Yep.
So, and I told myself I wouldn't let anything distract me. So cut all that shit off, and it worked out.
Yeah. No, it's worked out well for you. Man, I wish nothing but the best for you in your next transition, whatever that ends up being. I know you mentioned what the route is that you're going, but the timeline of that, how it's all going to shake out, where you're going to land, you've mentioned might be a little bit different. You're not sure where all that's going to. So through that transition, I wish you nothing but the best, you know, as you end up doing that. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show too, brother, and tell your whole story, and really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. This was awesome.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
So where is it that people can probably find you? In case those people, I want to make sure I ask you that real quick, in case they're wanting to look at you on Instagram, since you happen to mention it.
Yep. The Instagram handle is The Alpha Country. No uppercase, all lowercase, one word. And then the website for like the shirts, the hats that we make, and the programs, the workout programs are all on thealphacountry.com.
All right, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Really
thank you,
appreciate
brother.
it.